stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated.
Thank you to the representatives of VFW Post 6393 for your impressive color guard. Thank you to Maddie and Sophia and Maple Point's wonderful choir and music department staff, Maple Point students, Neshaminy School District staff, Principal Sokol, Superintendent Jones, special veteran guest Mr. Tom Hauserman, proud family members, and America's veterans. Welcome to Maple Point's 14th annual Veterans Day celebration. My name is Ann Schmidt. I'm an 8th grade teacher here at Maple Point Middle School. Before I begin, I'd like to wish happy birthday to the Marines. Today is Today is the 241st birthday of the U.S. Marine Corps. The U.S. Marine Corps started as the Continental Marines on November 10th, 1775. On that date, the Second Continental Congress decided they needed 2 battalions of Marines to serve as landing forces with the Continental Navy during the American Revolution. So happy birthday to the Marines. I was going to ask for a hoorah, but they gave us an hoorah. Today we gather to celebrate the 78th year of this national holiday. Our United States celebrations began on November 11th, 1918 at 11 a.m. That's when World War I ended, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. In 1919, in recognition of that historic moment, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th Armistice Day to remember the sacrifices made to ensure the freedom during World War I. Congress passed a resolution in 1926 for an annual observance on November 11th, and it became a national holiday beginning in 1938. Congress and President Eisenhower renamed Armistice Day, calling it Veterans Day. We're here today to do as President Eisenhower requested, to recognize all veterans who have honorably worn the uniform of our great nation. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly introduce to you 82 of Maple Point's and our country's veterans. These brave veterans seated on our stage are patriots. They've sacrificed themselves in defense of our freedom. They are everyday people. They've each performed their duties with little recognition, fortune, or fame. They're from different towns and states and different branches of the military, yet they all belong to the same club. They share the same belief that freedom is precious. The veterans on our stage have given us some information about themselves. We know that they are of many ranks: private, lance corporal, petty officer, staff sergeant, captain, and major, just to name a few. They had different responsibilities also during their military service. Some of those responsibilities included ranger, paratrooper, nurse, meteorologist, helicopter pilot and gunner, military police, aide to a general, squad leader responsible for clearing Taliban strongholds, medic, supply clerk, engineer, sharpshooter, cook, motion picture specialist, radio relay guard, and mechanic. This group also served during different eras, some during peacetime, others World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Libya, the Gulf War, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Iraq, and still serving today. We are extremely blessed to have on our Maple Point stage 9 veterans who served our country during the events of World War II. Mr. Bill Bakes, seated here in the front, served in the Army, helping to liberate a number of concentration camps while earning a Bronze Star for distinguishing himself with extreme heroic achievement. I think that deserves applause. Next to him is Mr. Buddy Beagle, who served in the Army as a clerk. During his service, he earned a World War II Victory Medal and an Army of Occupation of Japan Medal. Miss Helene Katani served as an Army nurse while also earning a Bronze Star for distinguishing herself with extreme heroic achievement. Mr. Robert H. Dott served in the U.S. Navy. He was wounded during his military service and is a recipient of the Purple Heart Award, which was originally established by General George Washington shortly after the Revolutionary War. Mr. James Johnson served in the Navy, protecting nurses and doctors in Okinawa. Mr. Samuel Klein Jr. served in the U.S. Navy on PT boats and was also a recipient of the Purple Heart. Mr. Charles Bub Moody served in the Army Air Corps and was a combat navigator, earning an Air Medal and 5 combat ribbons. Mr. Les Penny served in the U.S. Marine Corps. He was a battle intelligence specialist who is also a recipient of the Purple Heart Award. And seated on the end here closest to me, Mr. Irvin Schroeder served in the U.S. Army as a sergeant, first class, also a recipient of the Purple Heart Award. The rest of the veterans were also recognized for significant bravery during their service. One of our veterans received the Silver Star, the third highest military combat decoration for gallantry in action against an enemy of the United States. 7 of our veterans were wounded and received Purple Hearts, one of the veterans receiving 2 Purple Hearts during his service. 6 of our veterans have been awarded the Bronze Star for distinguishing themselves for extreme heroic achievements. Many of the veterans were recognized for outstanding achievements as well. They received Good Conduct Medals for exemplary behavior during service, NATO medals, Global War on Terrorism medals, and combat ribbons. They are a very honorable and decorated group of men and women. They are among the 21.8 million living veterans who have taken the oath of service to protect our freedom. They believe, as did the veterans of the American Revolution, that as Americans we have certain unalienable rights, rights that cannot and shall not be taken away. They also believe in us, their posterity, the ones who follow. Veterans, this year, our Maple Point student body participated in several Veterans Day activities. On Friday, November 4th, our students made donations to help fund gifts for each of you, which you will receive when you exit the stage today. We called our donation day Hats for Heroes. Hundreds of our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, staff, and administrators made donations and wore hats in your honor. Also, our students are organized and registered to participate in a 5K run for veterans on Saturday, November 12th, the 2nd annual Langhorne American Legion Veterans Day 5K. Finally, with the help of Maple Point veteran Ray Weldy and the Food for Troops organization, we have collected over 200 pounds of extra Halloween candy to ship to U.S. troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. We have the greatest respect and admiration for each of you. The teachers of Maple Point can assure you that the students here at Maple Point appreciate and are grateful for your role in securing their freedom. Students, let us thank these great heroes for not only today, but every day. And we can do that by honoring them and working to secure the blessings of freedom we hold so dear. I would now like to introduce to you the principal of Maple Point Middle School, Mr. Andy Sokol.
Is it afternoon yet? Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome, especially our honored guests, our veterans and their families, to Maple Point Middle School. I would like to thank you all for coming out and honoring our veterans today. I am an honored son of a veteran who served in the Korean War. Unfortunately, he could not be here today. I thank him and all the veterans on our stage and throughout the United States for their dedication, their sacrifice, and their service. As we look to today's gathering as recognition of service above self to uphold our country's security and its people's freedom, may we reflect as we hear, understand, and appreciate the commitment and sacrifices made for all of us so we can enjoy the many freedoms that we often take for granted. Former President Ronald Reagan stated, "Veterans Day gives all Americans a special opportunity to pay tribute to those men and women who throughout our history have left their homes and loved ones to serve their country. Their willingness to give freely and unselfishly of themselves, even their lives, in the defense of our democratic principles has given our great country the security we enjoy today. Through war and peace, valiant, patriotic Americans have answered the call, serving with honor and fidelity." Our hope today is we learn from the examples and stories that you will hear from these valiant individuals and their commitment to our country. Your challenge, students, is how can you on a daily basis learn to help and serve a greater cause than yourself? Lastly, I would like to thank all of our teachers, staff, and students who have worked to put this program together. The pride that they take in putting this event together to honor our veterans radiates throughout our school, and their efforts are truly appreciated. I would now like to introduce Mr. Joseph Jones, Superintendent of the Neshaminy School District.
Good morning. It's quite an honor to be on the stage with these men and women. I can't think too many times in my life where I've had such an opportunity to be with such an eclectic representative group of people who volunteered and given time to our country. As I was thinking about what could I say, third speaker coming forward, I would repeat a lot of the words that were already spoken, but I want to try to give you an image. I want to try an analogy. Because I drive every day across a bridge to get here to work, and it's a wide river, the Delaware River that I cross. And I go across this bridge, and I trust that the bridge is going to, I don't even think about it. I don't even think about the bridge, but it better work, right? I hope to get from one side to the other safely. And that's a hard thing, to span a river like that and make it so that people can pass every day back and forth and feel comfortable and safe and secure. And actually not even think about the comfort and safety and security that the bridge provides in going from one side to the other. Who made the bridge? Who were the original builders of the bridge? And who maintains that bridge? I don't think about that. And I think sometimes it's good that we have this, we heard about how we're supposed to stop and celebrate and recognize and appreciate our veterans one time a year. And if you stop long enough, the veterans are the same as those bridge makers, because we forget about this the other 364 days, that people worked very hard to create this country. And the country that we live in, with all the freedom that we have, all the opportunity that you have, all the potential to grow and continue to be even better, is a result of people who maintain this country, like they maintain that bridge. Our veterans from all of these conflicts, and even our veterans in peacetime, there are people who are behind the scenes maintaining something critically important, even more important than that bridge that gets me to work every day. It's this country and all that you've come to expect. I can't thank you enough for what you've done. I want to give you, especially our young people, the image of that bridge, because every time you go over a bridge, I hope you stop and think about what you're trusting, what you're taking for granted in terms of the safety of that bridge, and recognize and remember. And you know, some of you have people in your own family who've given, like these gentlemen and these women up here have given. Recognize, if you don't think about it enough, that our safety each and every day is thanks to the dedication, the willingness, the bravery of the individuals who are on this stage and people like them. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Rachel Lamb, Joy Prash, Paul Allen, and I would now like to honor each veteran seated on our stage. As we read each name in alphabetical order, we ask each veteran, if you are able, to stand for a moment to be recognized. Please hold your applause until all the veterans have been honored. Bill Bakes, Army Corporal. Buddy Beagle, Army Sergeant. Robert Lee Blum, Navy Electrician Mate 2nd Class. Zach Boone, Marine Corps Sergeant. Herbert Brooks, Royal Air Force AC-1. Gus Kales, Marine Corps Staff Sergeant. Gary Cannon, Navy E3. Thomas D. Carmody, Army Private First Class. John S. Carpanetta, Army Corporal. Daniel Caruso, Air Force Airman First Class. Helene Cadney, Army First Lieutenant. Michael Clark, Marine Corps Sergeant. Gerald M. Conway, Marine Corps Sergeant. Albert Daly, Jr., Army Private First Class. Russ Davidson, Army E5. Jacob Day, Marine Corps E3. Paul Day, Marine Corps E4. Paul Day Sr., Navy. Charlie Donnelly, Navy E6. John R. Dott, Navy Seaman.
Robert H. Dott, Navy, Petty Officer, 3rd Class. Walter Ellsberger, Army, E4. Fred Evans, Air Force, Staff Sergeant. Pascal Fattori, Air Force, Airman 1st Class. Stephen Fiddick, Navy, Senior Chief Petty Officer. Joseph Foley, Army, E4. Joe Fondy, Marine Corps, Sergeant. Joe Fondy Sr., Army, E5. Christina Fondy Thomas, Army, Captain. Virginia Pottsco Fondy, Marine Corps, Lance Corporal. Robert Gabriel, Navy, SK3. Tom Hauserman, Navy, E5. Terry Higgins, Air Force, Staff Sergeant. Christopher Howe, Army, 1st Sergeant. James Johnson, Navy, Seaman 1st Class. Philip Camp, Navy, E4. James Kennedy, Air Force and National Guard, Master Sergeant. Carolyn Ketterhagen, Air Force, E2. Samuel Klein, Jr., Navy, Chief Petty Officer. Ted Kristiniak, Army, E5. Michael Kulik, Army, Specialist 4th Class.
Gerson Lovins, Army. Barry McBride, Coast Guard Seaman. Maurice William Mahoney, Army, Specialist 5th Class. Walter Martin, Army, CW02. Anthony Messenliner, Marine Corps Corporal. Vince Montoro, Navy Petty Officer, 3rd Class. Charles Bub Moody, Army Air Corps, 1st Lieutenant. Horace L. Mundy, Jr., Army Specialist, 4th Class. Timothy O'Donnell, Army Major. Jerry Orodenker, Army Sergeant. Robert Osterhout, Army Specialist, 4th Class. Jack Pashley, Army E5. Les Penny, Marine Corps, Private 1st Class. James Porter, Army Sergeant. Dave Prash, Marine Corps, Private 1st Class. Harry Prash, Marine Corps Corporal. Joseph Rawson, Marine Corps Corporal. James Rogie, Jr., Marine Corps Corporal. John Rumsey, Marine Corps Corporal. Alan Russell, Army Sergeant. Raymond Satterfield, Navy Photographer 1st Class.
Gerald R. Schmidt, Army 4th Class. Craig Snyder, Air Force Captain. Thomas Scortino, Army 1st Lieutenant. C. Michael Scott, Army 1st Lieutenant. Paul Shanahan, Navy E4. Terry Shirk, Navy E4. Mike Silby, Navy E4. Ronnie Simons, Army Staff Sergeant. Richard Soden, Navy E4. George Sweet, Army Specialist 4th Class. Eugene Varel, Army and Air Force Tech Sergeant. James Walker, Navy Petty Officer 2nd Class. Michael Dennis Walsh, Marine Corps E4. Joseph Waters, Army E4. Ray Weldy, Army E4. William Welsh, Air Force, Airman 1st Class. Vincent Wirtz, Marine Corps and National Guard Sergeant. William F. Williamson, Jr., Army E5. Charles E. Wright, Jr., Army Sergeant E5. Joseph Yurgoski, Army Specialist 5th Class. Jerry McHugh, Army E7. William Sheaf, Army SP3. Hank Booth, Marine. Addie Van Hemel, Army SGE6. Irvin Schroden, Army Sergeant 1st Class. Dan Haynes, SP4. Andrew Churko. Henry Booth, Marine Corps Corporal.
We now invite you to enjoy a musical tribute to the armed forces.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol Foley, and I'm an 8th grade language arts teacher here at Maple Point Middle School. It is my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker for today's festivities, Mr. Tom Hauserman. I first met Mr. Hauserman through his work chairing the Post Voice of Democracy and Patriots Pen essay contests. It was through our conversations that I learned not only about his devotion to our country, but also about the many directions his life has taken him. Whether it was through his Navy service during the Vietnam conflict, his 43 years in sales, his 10 years working with the VFW Post 6393, or his time spent with his wife, children, and grandchildren, Tom's character and dedication are very obvious. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tom Hauserman.
Students, distinguished faculty and administration, parents, guests, and my fellow veterans, welcome to today's Veterans Day ceremony here at Maple Point Middle School, and thank you so very much for attending. I'm honored to be speaking with you today on such an important occasion. We're here to honor all our veterans, living and dead, and to remember their sacrifices and their courage in defending our nation against our enemies in the past and the present. Veterans come in all shapes and sizes, young and old, rich and poor, black and white, and nearly every category in between. They are men and women who served or still serve America. I salute each of my brothers and sisters for your service to our country. Thank you. The late President John F. Kennedy once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live them." We honor our veterans, we remember their achievements, their commitments, and most of all, we say thank you for their sacrifices. We honor all our veterans, living and dead. Without their commitment to our great country, we most certainly would be a different nation today. Thank you, veterans. Thank you for responding to our nation's needs. You have made our country safe and proud. We honor veterans of all services, Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard, that left their homes and responded to their nation's call to arms. These men and women from many different backgrounds came together as with one simple creed: duty, honor, country. At Washington Crossing National Cemetery, after the riflemen have fired their volleys, the bugler sounded taps, and the flag folded and presented to the next of kin. 3 shells are often presented to the veteran's loved one. These shells symbolize this creed of duty, honor, and country. Ask a vet, and they will tell you what that credo means to them. Many enlisted, some were drafted, but all served proudly in defense of the United States. Ask a vet, and they will tell you how proud they are of the day they raised their right hand and swore to defend the Constitution of our great republic. Our nation's veterans allowed for us to be free and to have lived the lives we chose for ourselves and for our families in our great country. Across America, people such as us are gathering on this Veterans Day to say thank you to a long line of veterans. On this stage, there are veterans of World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the global war on terror, Afghanistan, and Iraq. We thank each of you for your courage and your commitment. We remember your sacrifices and your commitment to the United States of America. We also need to think of issues that currently impact our nation's veterans. Homelessness. A recent 2014 survey indicated there were an estimated 50,000 homeless veterans in the United States. That's roughly the population of a medium U.S. city. Suicide. We need to also remember the estimated 22 veterans a day who commit suicide, and that approximately 20% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans and 30% of Vietnam veterans have experienced post-traumatic stress injury. The VA hospitals. Our veterans still face long wait times to use many VA facilities. The care, while often good, still needs to be worthy of the veterans who served this great nation. Veterans Day is an important and symbolic way of recognition and saying thanks. But we should insist that our elected officials produce meaningful laws and public policies that will enhance the quality of life for veterans and their families. We also need to remember today's military families who deal with multiple deployments, interrupted employment by spouses, and a disproportionate sharing of parental responsibilities. For what they do for us veterans, military families should also be honored on Veterans Day. Veterans have preserved the country that we all love so much. They should never be taken for granted. Maple Point students, please take the time when we adjourn today to speak to any of us veterans gathered here. Speaking for my fellow veterans, we would be glad to answer any of your questions and tell you about our experiences in serving in the military and serving our great nation. Some of the veterans on this stage are recipients of some of our nation's highest honors. They are holders of the Silver Star, Bronze Star, and Purple Heart. And I'm sure everyone knows that the Purple Heart is issued to soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen that have been wounded by the enemy in times of conflict. They have shed their blood in defense of our great nation. Part of America's history is sitting on this stage. Again, I salute my fellow veterans. And again, I encourage each student to ask questions and learn from these fine examples of living history sitting right here on your stage. Thank you again for allowing me to speak on behalf of our nation's veterans. God bless you, God bless our nation's veterans, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you, Maple Point.
It is now my pleasure to present to you three Maple Point 8th graders, Valley Janaki-Raman, Trevor Clark, and Mason Ceremony, who will share their thoughts and feelings about freedom and veteran heroes.
Freedom isn't free. I watched the flag pass by one day. It fluttered in the breeze. A young Marine saluted it, and then he stood at ease. I looked at him in uniform, so young, so tall, so proud. With a haircut square and eyes alert, he'd stand out in any crowd. I thought how many men like him had fallen through the years, how many died on foreign soil, how many mothers' tears, how many pilots planes shot down, how many died at sea, how many foxholes were soldiers' graves. No, freedom isn't free. I heard the sounds of taps one night when everything was still. I listened to the bugler play and felt a sudden chill. I wondered just how many times that taps had meant amen, when a flag had draped a coffin of a brother or a friend. I thought of all the children, of the mothers and the wives, of fathers, sons, and husbands with interrupted lives. I thought about a graveyard at the bottom of the sea, of unmarked graves in Arlington. No, freedom isn't free.
In Flanders Field by Majors John McCrae. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved, were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from flailing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
The America I believe in. One day, my family and I were entering church, and I noticed an older woman struggling to open the door. Subconsciously, I rushed to assist her because it seemed like the right thing to do. And her appreciating smile showed that I had made her day by doing such a trivial thing. It was a small action, so why the fuss? America is a great place because of these things. We look out for each other, we do the right thing, and we live our lives to make a mark on others. Every day we find ourselves in simple situations like these, and I know our founding fathers would want us to act in ways to benefit our country, as they had done when they granted our freedom 300 years ago. These are traits of the America I believe in, and we can never forget what our ancestors and veterans put their lives on the line for, to live as a united nation and to look out for each other with concern and heart. This year at Maple Point, we're emphasizing the importance of this theme, and we call it the butterfly effect. This means that each and every one of our actions will impact the future. I try to implement this into my life every day, because I believe we're all here to do something great for each other, our country, and this world. A major role model in my life was my grandfather, Tony Meehan. He was a veteran himself, and he always had this mindset. It's difficult to get this message across on paper, but if you'd met him, you would know that he's the most dedicated and caring of people for his family and his country. Any opportunity thrown his way, whether it's donating blood, running for charity, or contributing to his church, he would be first in line to support whatever the cause. It's people like him who shape this country into the passionate place called the USA. The America I believe in can be fulfilled if my peers and I fill the shoes of the veterans and role models who paved the way before us. So thank you, veterans, for all you have done for our country. It is now the jobs of the next generation to do the same. In summary, I understand that it's not always easy to do the right thing, but if we try, it will make a monumental difference. If we live our lives to this motto, we the people can make this country the America I believe in. Thank you.
Please stand for a moment of silence to remember all past veterans and the playing of taps. Please be seated. Following the final musical tribute, Song for the Unsung Hero, we would like to extend an invitation to all veterans, family members, and invited guests to join the 8th grade students outside for our annual Veteran Student Flag Photo. Students remain seated until Mr. Sokol dismisses your team section.